Hi guys, if this is a return trip for you to my YouTube channel, welcome back. And if this is your first time, thank you so much for visiting my page, and I hope you will like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so that you can get more episodes as I upload them every week. So my first video was just basically introducing myself to everyone, kind of explaining why I wanted to go on this journey and how this came about. So today I wanted to go ahead and discuss my 2-year depression. So it was pretty much the 2 years leading up to the fact that I needed to file for divorce. So my husband and I, or ex-husband, I met him through a friend. So we were introduced to each other in 2004. We hit it off pretty much from the beginning. We didn't see each other that often, but we did talk on the phone a lot, and we kind of developed a relationship and things were going good. We dated completely for about a year before he proposed. So we had gone away on a trip, a weekend trip, and on the way back, we stopped and did some ring shopping. And then a couple weeks later, he actually proposed. And of course I said yes. So that was in November of 2005. So, oh my God, I'm engaged. I cannot believe it. Life was great. Like, yay, oh my gosh, I'm finally engaged, because at that time, most of my friends and most of my family members my age were either already married or had been or was involved in long-term relationships. And I was the only one who was not, because at this point it had been about 5 years since my relationship with my daughter's father. So here we were. I knew everyone I wanted in my bridal party. Everything went as smooth as planned. So we got engaged in November 2005. He moved in to my apartment a month later. My initial reaction was shock because it wasn't really something that I had planned. It just kind of happened. And once we were in the groove of it, it was like, oh my God, this apartment is not big enough for me, him, my daughter, and his daughter coming to visit every other weekend. Shortly after the new year, we started looking for a house. This is like, we just need a bigger space. We need a bigger house. So in April of 2006, we bought a house, and we had already made a plan to be married in that November of 2006. So it was a lot. We got engaged, we moved in, we bought this house, and planning a marriage, a wedding. It was a lot, and it was stressful. And you really truly learn something about a person when you actually live with that person. And considering the fact that we were kind of long distance because he lived in Delaware at the time, it's a totally different thing than actually living here together in one space. It was a little stressful. And then you kind of learn each other. And as time was going on, I wasn't really sure about the relationship, but I had a diamond on my hand and there was a wedding dress hanging up in the closet. So I was not going to turn back because, oh my God, it's every girl's dream to be married. So I wanted to continue on with this diamond on my hand, and I wanted to eventually put on that white dress that used to hang on the closet door. So I was just going to go through with it. I don't think I told many people that that wasn't something that I wanted to do. If I did, I really do not remember. But I pressed on. I continued with the planning. Everyone was happy for me. My bridesmaids all got along. We had an engagement party. We had a housewarming party. We had birthday celebrations. We had everything all leading up to this wedding. So I was just going ahead with the flow and continuing on with what I needed to do. But again, as the date was coming on, I was just like, I don't think this is something I should do. But I kept going. Red flags were there. I'm not going to get into the specifics about what the red flags were, but went ahead and did it anyway. We did some premarital counseling, and even talking with the counselor one day, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is something that I should do right now. I think we should. No, the counselor suggested, well, do you think we should push it off? And I said, yeah, but if we do, I don't think I'll ever want to do it again ever. Who still goes through with a wedding after making a statement like that? This girl. Why? Because I was truly blinded by the diamond ring and the white dress. I wanted to have it. I wanted to put on that white dress and I wanted to flaunt the diamond ring. So I went through with it. So here we were. Everything was great. Everything was great. The planning was great. Everyone bought their stuff. Plans had been made. Caterer, flowers, whatever. Everything was great. So here we come up to the day of the wedding. The day of the wedding, we got married in the middle of November. It was 71 degrees. I will never forget that. 71 degrees in the middle of November. Beautiful, beautiful day. Got to the venue on time, sat and waited a little bit because I'll never forget there was apparently a major accident on one of the main highways. So a lot of people were running late because it was a traffic jam because of this accident. So I just sat in the car in the parking lot waiting for, a certain amount of people to arrive. Went in, was getting ourselves together. Ceremony was about to begin. Everyone walks down the aisle like they're supposed to. Flower girl goes down, which is my daughter. And now the door is closed before I am to walk in, and it's just me and my brother. My brother is to walk me halfway down the aisle, and then my mother is going to join us and continue with the walk down. As the doors close and we're standing there, kind of listening out for our cue, my brother says to me, "Are you ready?" And I said, "I don't think I should do this." And I take a step back away from the door. And he's like, "Huh?" I wonder if he remembers this at all. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think I should do this." So he says, "Well, we can stop right here, right now." And I was like, "I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead with it." Again, who says that? This was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life. Yeah, and it wasn't. But I went through with it. I went down that aisle, had the wedding of my dreams, reception of my dreams. And again, it was all kind of a blur. It happens really, really fast. And then you're trying to make sure everything that you had planned actually came to fruition. Now you're seeing everything in the grand scheme of everything. So just wanted to make sure everything was good. So the day was great. The feedback was that everybody had a good time. My favorite holiday is Christmas. So at that point, the venue that we had been decorated for Christmas and everything. So I was ecstatic about that. We had some great photos with Christmas decorations and everything. And life was grand that day. We went off on our honeymoon. Everything was great. And then you come back from the honeymoon and reality sinks in. So again, we had met in 2004 and we married in 2006. My daughter was 4, 5, 6 at the time. And he had a daughter who was a few years older than my daughter. But okay, we're in it now. So we got to make it happen. I don't know what this is on my shirt. It's so embarrassing right now that this is here. Here we are going through our first year of marriage, and everything was, I think, hunky-dory. Now you're learning each other as husband and wife, and, building a marriage and, living as one completely now, because now you're married and here we go. And I would say our first year was good. I think because we were still just riding high on this, this cloud 9, and everything was great. Then we fell into that second year. Things started to go downhill. It was just a lot of stress. And one thing I've learned that after we went through the divorce and everything, you're very quick to say, when people ask you what happened, why did the marriage fail? Or why did any relationship fail, period? You're quick to blame somebody else. He didn't do this. She didn't do that. He said he was going to do. She said she was going to do. He said he was going to this. He was going to do that. And you put all the blame on the other person. But now that I've gone through all of that, I realized that I had a lot to do with the failure of the marriage as well. So a few of the things that I can now realize I did back then was I put my daughter's needs before my husband's. Again, I was a single mom for, however many years leading up to meeting him. So I was used to being completely in control of my life, completely in control of her life. And for somebody now to come in and try to share that parenting role, I wasn't really kind of feeling it. She had a dad. I didn't need, him to come in and try to take on role of dad. I didn't need that. Some things, our parenting styles were different, disciplining styles were different. So that caused a lot of tension for the relationship with my daughter and the relationship with his daughter when his daughter would come to visit. So there was a lot of strain there. Then it was, I'm a huge TV buff, love TV. I will watch TV all day long. At the time, it was like a big thing because you go into work the next day and be like, oh, did you see such show last night? Yeah, you know, then we talk about it. So you had to watch the TV show. So I thought, because you had to go in the next day and talk about it. So I didn't cater to a lot of his needs or give him the attention he probably deserved at night because I was too focused on watching TV. So I could have did better with that. There were a lot of things that I know I could have done better, but those are just two main things that stick out in my head that I realized that I should have and could have done. But I didn't. Maybe I wasn't ready to be married. I wasn't ready to share, you know, my all. I was still just focused on being a mother. I wasn't focused on also being a wife, I guess. And I didn't know how to balance the two. So that caused a lot of friction. And then again, there was things that he did on his end that, you know, I thought added to the demise, but I don't want to speak for him. So I'm not going to do that. That's when it started kind of, you know, like downhill. Well, then we came to a point in the marriage, about 2 years in, my daughter was in a private school and that private school was closing. We got the notification late. Because of that, we had no choice but to enroll her into the neighborhood public school. Being enrolled in that public school, they didn't have before or after care in at that school. And again, we had just bought the house. So we had only been in there a little over a year or so. My timelines could be completely off, but just know it's somewhere in that. But we made the decision, or I decided that I wanted to go ahead and open a before and after care program and run it out of my house. It was something that, a thought that I had entertained with a friend of mine a few years before, but it never came to fruition. Actually, I wanted to do a true in-home daycare, all-day daycare, but it didn't come to pass. So when it came time for us to put her in this school, I was like, oh, I'm going to quit my job and do this before and after care job. But before I truly committed to that, I went through a lot of, oh my God, I'm going to have to stop working at this job where I was making, you know, pretty decent money. Now I have to rely on somebody else, meaning my husband, to financially take care of me until the business can get off the ground, which could be years. Then it was, oh my God, I'm going to have to quit my job, which means I'm going to lose my medical benefits and I'm going to have to go on somebody else's medical plan. And again, somebody else is going to have to take care of me and my child. I don't know if I can give up that kind of control. It's not something I was used to. I've always been responsible for her well-being, and I don't know if I can give this kind of control over to somebody else. So I prayed on it. I talked it over with some people. He's your husband. You have to let him do this. That's his role. Da, 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 da. You have to have faith. You can go ahead and do it. Your business is going to prosper. You're going to be fine. Just do it. So I did it. So here we were in 2008, and we're just going to do it. So I started this business. I gave up my control and put it into the hands of my husband. My life outside of the childcare business. So we went ahead and did that. Everything was great for a little while. And then he didn't like it. He didn't like it. It was very intrusive. You know, people being in and out of our house, all hours of the day, all hours of the night. He didn't like it. There was just toys everywhere. So our home didn't look like our home. It looked like a childcare facility. And that also caused a whole bunch of stress. But it was like, okay, well, I'm in it now. I can't stop it. This is just what has to happen. So that caused a lot of, you know, tension there too. So it was just, again, it was just another piece of things that were just going wrong in the marriage. After some time went on, we went into a whole nother year. Here we now were in 2009. We were just like, you know, this just isn't working. It's just too many stressors and we should probably just, you know, end the marriage. So he decided that he picked the weekend that he wanted to move out. So I went to Virginia to visit a friend of mine. I stayed there because I didn't want to be in the house while he actually moved. When I came back home, I called a girlfriend of mine and asked her to meet me at my house because I didn't want to walk into my house by myself because I didn't know what kind of emotional toll it would take on me. So I went, she came, she met me at my house, we walked in, and you know, it hit me for a second like, oh my gosh, she's really gone. But then I realized my television was missing out of my living room. So now I'm like, he took my TV and that was not his. So that whole emotional trip that I was on didn't last very long because I noticed my TV was gone. So I called him and I was like, hey, the TV that was in the living room, that wasn't yours, that was mine. So can you return it? He was like, oh, okay, no problem. So some time went on and, being an adult woman and him being an adult man, we had needs and wants from time to time. So we would call each other to satisfy these needs and wants. And that went on for a few months. And then one particular night, we were just like, we would talk occasionally about whether or not we wanted to reconcile. Never did we have a complete desire to reconcile. And we just at one point was like, we need to stop with these, quote unquote, need matching sessions. And we should just go ahead and end the marriage and, just officially separate. And we agreed. And that's what happened this one particular time. So time went on. And now I'm realizing like, wow, this is really over. He's really not coming back. I started to get real sad. And it was, now taking a true emotional hit. Another failed relationship. I have now had 2 major relationships fail in my life. My daughter's father, the relationship I had with him, and now the relationship I had with this man. This man where I stood before God, I stood before friends, I stood before family, and I took a vow. And now this marriage was over. And it was over after only 3 years. My parents have been married for 25. Lots of people I know have been together for years and years and years. And here I was, after only 3 years, separated. How embarrassing was that? How embarrassing was it to fail at something, a marriage, where I took vows before God. And this marriage is failing after 3 years. For something nothing in particular happened that the marriage was over. There was no infidelity. There was no physical, emotional, or verbal abuse. There were no drugs involved, which are my top 3 reasons why any relationship should end. None of that was happening. It was literally we just could not get along. So we decided to end the marriage. But how embarrassing was that? We had wedding gifts that we had not even opened yet because we just didn't have a use for it yet. And now the marriage is over. Was I supposed to get those gifts back? Like, what was I supposed to do? So here I am now, being Imani's mom. We got up every day, took her to school. I went to work. She was in gymnastics at the time, so she would, I would take her to her practices 3-4 times a week, whatever that schedule was. I would come home, make dinner, we eat, and I go to bed. On the weekends, I spent most of my time in the bed. I made sure she was fed. I made sure she was washed. She would have a friend over, or she would go to someone else's house for the weekend. I stayed in the bed, and we hit repeat. The following week, we get up, I take her to school, I did work. She went to gymnastics. I came home. We ate. I got into bed. The weekend came. She was off. She was either at a friend's house, a cousin's house, or with her dad. That's what happened every week for about a good 1.5 years. Slowly towards the end of that 1.5 years, so now here we are 1.5 years after my husband and I decided that we were going to separate. I noticed that my sadness was like truly there. Like I knew I was sad. I knew there's things I should be doing. Oh, and at the same time, I never told anybody I was separated. Never told any family, never told any friends that I was separated. My husband at the time before we split, he used to work at night. So when people used to ask me, where's, your husband? Oh, he's at work. Where's your husband? Oh, he's at work. It was easy to say that he was at work. No problem. I didn't invite many people over at that time. But if they did come, again, it was, he's at work. I was able to set my house up so that it didn't look like he was missing. We had a bathroom on the first floor in my house, so nobody had to go upstairs where you could tell like the bathroom, the extra bedroom was empty where his daughter used to stay. So I didn't have to answer any of those type questions. And again, when I would go out to places and do social things, oh, where's your husband? Oh, he's at work. So for almost 2 years, I was able to hide the fact that I was separated. Honey, when people found out that I was separated and didn't tell me for 2 years, oh, talk about angry. I have this small group of cousins that are like my best friends. They were so angry at me. How did I go through this for 2 years and didn't tell anybody? My friend, I didn't tell many people. I could probably count on one hand how many people knew that I was actually going through this. And I want to say probably only, I could probably count on one hand. It was no more than 5 people that knew that I was going through this, that I had been separated. But anyway, so about 1.5 years after the separation and all my time spending in bed, Imani going out, hanging out with other people and her dad and everything, I realized that Imani wasn't going out anymore. She didn't want to go hang out at too many people's houses. She didn't want to necessarily have any people come over. She seemed to be getting really sad to me. It just seemed like she just wasn't herself. My child is a very energetic, happy child. Always laughing, always smiling. That's just the kid that she was. Her laugh was infectious. She just loved having friends. She was just a delight. And I noticed like her shine was missing. Her spark was missing. She didn't laugh as much or anything like that. So I remember talking to her father about it one day. And I was like, I think we need to put Imani in counseling. And he was like, why? And I said, because she doesn't seem happy to me. I don't know if the separation is bothering her. I don't know if she's missing her stepsister. I don't know what's happening, but she just doesn't seem happy to me. And he said to me, and I'll never forget it, and I don't even know if I ever thanked him for it, but he said to me, do you think that she's acting the way she's acting because she sees you acting the way you're acting? Like, what? Do you think that she's being sad and depressed because you've been sad and depressed? Okay, that's all I needed. I picked myself up, got my butt out of that bed, and I changed everything around. The sun started to shine again in my life because I needed the sun to shine in her life. So I needed to get myself up. I needed to get myself together. I needed to get my head on straight, and I needed to move on because I was not going to let the demise of this marriage cause my child to be sad and depressed and moping around all day long. No, ma'am, I was not going to let that happen. So, okay, let's pick ourselves up. Let's figure out what to do next. Let's figure out how we move on from here. Let's rebuild. Let's get our new lives started. But how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to do. What does that look like? How do I get my life back on track? I don't know. So one day we were in church. Love my church, love my church, love my church. And my mom had visited. She had come and attended the church service with us because we're 2 different faiths and attend 2 different churches. So sitting in church one Sunday and during the offering, my church plays announcements on the screens and a slide popped up and it was about a workshop/seminar that was going to be taking place in our church for those persons who are separated, going through a divorce, or divorced. And it was going to be an 8-week seminar/workshop. I forget what they called it at the time. And my mom saw it and she taps me and she points to it and she's like, I think you need to attend that. Okay. So I decided to attend this 8-week seminar about where do I go from here, which were the questions that I had been asking myself. Where do I go from here? Where do my child and I now go from here? How do we rebuild? So I decided to go ahead and enroll in this workshop. And that's where my new life began. And that's where I'm going to end this story for today. So if you want to know what happened next, you have to come back next week and check out a new episode. So I hope you enjoyed the information that I shared today. Please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.